Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are talking about Cyberpunk 2077. And more specifically, we are talking about how Cyberpunk 2077's brand will make people think it's good, CDPR says. Now notice that argument is that the brand will make people think that the game is good according to CD Projekt Red. The president of CD Projekt Red has stated the studio believes Cyberpunk 2077 will one day be seen as good, implying this will be down to marketing. We're gonna get back to that in just a second. I don't want to get a little ahead of myself. CD Projekt Red, developer of Cyberpunk 2077, along with the Witcher series, has stated it still has faith in the game, believing it will one day be seen as good due to the brand's recognition. Cyberpunk 2077's controversial 2020 launch saw the game release to countless problems, with players encountering bugs, glitches, missing features, and general performance issues that caused disappointment for what was intended to be one of the biggest launches of the last gaming generation. I noticed. I don't know if it qualifies as a glitch, but remember on the PC version when your save file got over 8 megabytes, it would just automatically corrupt. Oh, fun times. And very fun for console owners, because recently I wanted to play it within the last probably few weeks at this point, and it only had a 40 or 41 gigabyte patch. Oh, fun times for CD Projekt Red there. First announced nearly a decade ago in 2012. I thought it was 2011 when they announced it. No, that's right. They announced it E3 2012 because E3 2013 is when they had that initial reveal trailer. Excitement for Cyberpunk 2077 quickly began to build in part thanks to CDPR's marketing of the game. Cyberpunk was touted as a groundbreaking narrative adventure set in a dystopian city, set to provide an immersive and exciting experience for all players. Hype for the release continued to grow with the announcement that Hollywood star Keanu Reeves.
Please welcome Keanu Reeves.
CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk 2077. The feeling of being there, of walking the streets of the future, is really going to be breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking. All right.
Oh, Keanu Reeves would be appearing as one of the game's central characters, but multiple delays indicated a rocky development. When the game finally launched in 2020, its release was plagued with performance issues, especially on base PS4 and Xbox One consoles. As of right now, I've been playing Cyberpunk on a base PS4 console. There's a lot that's been fixed out, but there's still a lot of issues with the game. You know, I'm not the kind of guy to complain about texture popping. I typically don't give a shit about that, because 9 times out of 10, you don't really even notice. But it's so apparent. It goes from like N64 graphics to PS2 to PS3, and then finally to PS4 by the end once it's done loading. Anyway, where was I? Here we go. The shipped state of the game was so poorly received, PlayStation removed Cyberpunk 2077 from its digital storefront for some months until patches began to improve the title. Bigger fixes are still needed for the game even a year on from launch. They also removed Cyberpunk 2077 from its digital storefront because if you remember, CD Projekt Red was basically telling people, hey, don't blame us that we can't give you a refund. It's all Sony's fault. We would like to give you a refund. So Sony responded with, okay, gave people refunds and took the game down from the store. The only digital store that Cyberpunk was not removed from was the Xbox store, whatever it's called. It's not Xbox Live Arcade. I never got an Xbox One. I don't remember what their digital store is called. I do apologize for that. In an interview with a Polish newspaper, I am not even gonna fucking try to pronounce that because I am not Polish. Via VGC, CDPR President Adam Kicinski spoke about Cyberpunk 2077 and reaffirmed his and the studio's belief in the game despite its issues. Kicinski interestingly stated not that the game would be good, but that it would be perceived as a good game in the future. Despite not meeting expectations even a year after its release, the head also expressed CDPR expects the game to quote-unquote sell for years, in part due to its brand awareness. And here's what Kicinski said, quote, I'm going to splash this up on the screen. We're proud of many aspects of the game, but as we know, not everything went our way. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Nevertheless, the brand awareness of Cyberpunk that we've managed to build is huge, and the game universe, its characters, and details have fans all over the world. We believe that in the long run, Cyberpunk 2077 will be perceived as a very good game, and like our other titles, it will sell for years, especially as the hardware gets more powerful over time and we improve the game. Kicinski's choice of wording is perhaps notable, as the studio head didn't state that Cyberpunk 2077 will be considered a good game because of its gameplay and story, but instead suggested it would merely be seen as good due to its brand awareness. You know, when I play a video game, the first thing I look for, well, I'm kind of a movie nerd, so narrative kind of means something to me. But I understand not every game has a narrative. Like, if you play a game like Little Big Planet, there's no story to that. You basically just go from point A to point B and you're done. You know, Super Mario Brothers, the old school NES game, Super Mario World, never had a freaking story to them. It was all about the gameplay. So first it's the narrative, second it's the gameplay. So apparently Cyberpunk 2077 will be considered a good game because of its marketing. You know, there are some games that go down in gaming history for the wrong reasons. This is one of them. Can CD Projekt Red turn this game's reputation around? It could. But do you know what they're going to have to do? Every paid expansion that they have planned out, give that shit away for free. And I'll give you guys a perfect example. Who remembers No Man's Sky? And that launch disaster. You know, now I'm going to say personally, I did like No Man's Sky when that initially launched. And I don't mean to be a contrarian for the sake of being a contrarian. I genuinely like No Man's Sky for what it is. But No Man's Sky should have been a $20 game, $30 maximum. I think had the game been in the $20 to $30 range, the backlash wouldn't have been so severe. The problem with No Man's Sky was that they were selling it at a AAA game price when it was an indie game at best. It wasn't terrible, but you know, at $60, you're expecting a lot more features in the game. And I understand that they promised a lot of features that weren't in it, but again, had the game just been $20, no big deal. No big deal, at least to me personally. I don't know about you. I can't read your head. I can't read your mind. But you know, if CD Projekt Red wants to turn around Cyberpunk 2077 and they want that game to sell for years and years and years and years, they're going to have to give away every single piece of DLC for free, because then that would incentivize people to buy the game. Well, and you know, that's just my opinion, but you know, CD Projekt Red, CD Projekt Red really burned its reputation with the launch of Cyberpunk. But let's continue. Cyberpunk 2077 was heavily marketed in the years leading up to its release, with gamers and non-gamers alike aware of its launch. This is in part the reason why excitement for Cyberpunk 2077 was palpable, while also contributing to the game being branded a failure when it didn't meet expectations. It's very possible that Cyberpunk 2077 will one day meet the high standards expected from the studio, as well regarded as CD Projekt Red. The developer is perhaps best known as the studio behind one of the best rated RPGs of all time, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Personally never played it. The Witcher never interested me. Though while the game regularly appears on lists of must-play games, the title launched with a host of bugs and suffered from generally poor performance, something that was solved over time. While the issues weren't on the same scale as Cyberpunk's, many no longer remember the problems The Witcher 3 launched with... God damn it. No longer remember the problems The Witcher 3 launched with due to its later success, which is possibly what CDPR is hoping will happen with its latest release. How well Cyberpunk 2077 will be perceived in the future is unknown, but the game has arguably become synonymous with disappointment, something that may be hard for CDPR to shake. And I do agree with that. They're going to have a hard time shaking that because they bring up the fact, oh, The Witcher 3 had a bunch of performance issues when that launched. But CD Projekt Red was a much smaller developer by the time The Witcher 3 launched compared to Cyberpunk 2077. And CD Projekt Red really built their name on being, consumer friendly. I remember a time when, CDPR came out and said, we will never put any DRM on our games because that only harms the legitimate customers. If people want to pirate our game, they're going to pirate our game anyway. So, fuck it. We're not going to waste our time and money with this, with this bullshit DRM. And they were praised as heroes, despite, The Witcher 2 also had a whole host of problems. Same with The Witcher 3. So CDPR really built up their name and reputation as being for the customer, always, a customer first. Well, that's pretty much good and gone. And tying this back to what I said earlier, they're going to have to give away all the DLC for free if they want to turn the ship around. And they're basically going to have to do that as in, I'm sorry that the game launched in such a broken state. I'm sorry that we pressured review outlets to not show gameplay footage of a clearly broken game prior to launch. We're sorry that we also pressured them into not actually talking about it to sell more fucking units. We're sorry that we issued a bunch of bullshit DMCA claims to people who got copies of Cyberpunk 2077 from Best Buy before street date so that you couldn't see how broken the game was. And guys, I'm going to go ahead and end it right here because I could go off for another 20 minutes on all that bullshit. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos. And I will just see you guys on next time.